Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
My name is Joe Johnson.
Hi, Joe Johnson.
This is Movies for Dumb Guys, and we are a few days into 2019, so we're going to take this opportunity to look back at the year 2018 and discuss our favorite movies from the past year. I saw, I think, about 20 movies in 2018. Most of them I liked. A couple of them were garbage. We might discuss those at the end of the podcast if there's time. But it was a fun year for movies. A lot of action, adventure, comic book type stuff. That's what makes up the majority of my list. As a matter of fact, the top 8 movies on my list are sequels and part of a franchise, which, hey, podcast is called Movies for Dumb Guys. So, Ryan, approximately how many movies have you seen in 2018?
And with me, as always...
Oh, yeah, I forgot to do introductions. And with me, as always, is Ryan Sharp.
His first time here. It's so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?
Son of a bitch, you stole mine.
And Tim Williams.
It's... Chucky.
And Richie Rollins.
Say hi to your mother for me.
Is that from the past year?
It's a mile 22.
Okay. So, like I asked earlier, Ryan, how many movies have you seen in 2018?
I saw, last count here, about 31 movies.
Wow.
Man, what a loser. You got no life.
That's like a lot more than me. How do you account
Wait,
for that?
What did you...
I'm at like 20.
20?
Yeah.
20 altogether or 20 at the theater?
20, 19 in the theater and one 2018 release on DVD.
Seriously, you only watched one movie? Oh, sorry.
From 2008, that I hadn't seen on DVD, yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, most of these were theater for me, but there's a handful that were DVDs. But.
Do you think you saw a lot of these because you have children and you take them to the theater? Do you think that played a role in it?
No.
No? These are just movies you
Most of these I
see?
saw without the kids.
Wow, okay.
Their mom took them to a lot this year that I didn't get. So there's a few that I thought I would have seen, like Incredibles 2, for example, that I didn't see because they had already saw it.
Tim, I know for a fact that a lot of movies that you had seen was because you have a child. So what was your grand total for 2018?
I think altogether at the theater I saw 33. I didn't add up any of the other ones that I saw. I mean, I saw quite a few on DVD and
that came out
some
in
of
2018?
them, yes,
Okay.
and some on Netflix and whatever. But
Okay.
but yeah, I would say at least probably a quarter of the movies that I saw were probably more than that. Well, probably like 10 of the movies I saw were because of my daughter because she's able to actually sit through 2-hour movies now.
That's got to be awesome as a parent when you could actually sit through an entire movie.
Yeah, it's cool.
Richie, where are you on the year?
Oh, geez. Like every time. It's probably going to be up. I'm going to say 37 because that's what I got written down. But I was up to 36 till I showed up here and then someone mentioned a movie and I was like, oh, yeah, I watched that one too.
Now, you work at a movie theater, and so
Yes.
you get to see movies for free. Do you think that's why your number's so high?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So the only reason why it's so high.
Yeah.
I'd probably be at 10 if it wasn't.
All right. So, without further ado, let's get to the number one movie.
Joe Johnson says Star Wars.
No.
The entire time I knew him, he only ever had one goal. To wipe out half the universe. If he gets all the Infinity Stones, he can do it with the snap of his fingers. Just like that.
Tell me his name again.
Thanos.
The wrong hand.
Done. Half of humanity will still exist.
Can't take this guy anywhere.
Perfectly balanced. As all things should be.
Push the button on the back of the glove there. There you go.
You guys didn't disappear.
At least half of us. So, Avengers Infinity War, in my opinion, was the best movie of 2018. It was so epic. It was one of those water cooler movies where everybody was talking about it. The ending was a gut punch. As a matter of fact, the movie started out with a gut punch. I mean, the movie starts out with Thanos on the ship having beat the tar out of the Asgardians that were escaping, killed off some major characters, beat the crap out of the Hulk. I mean, the movie starts out as a gut punch, ends with a gut punch, and was so epic. And the most amazing feat from this movie is to take pretty much every Marvel Universe movie character that had been introduced to date, minus Ant-Man and Hawkeye, and put them all in the same movie, but not make it so overwhelming. Like, you know, they've tried doing that in the past, you know, with like DC and like Batman and Robin and all that stuff. And it was always a disaster when you just had too many characters on screen. But somehow Infinity War pulled it off. And I think a big part of it is because they broke them off into groups. And it was really awesome to see the Guardians interact with Thor, and to see Doctor Strange going head-to-head with Iron Man, Tony Stark. And that's probably the most impressive thing about this movie, is that it put all these characters together and somehow pulled it off, and has everybody looking forward to the sequel that's going to be coming out in 2019. Probably one of the most anticipated sequels of all time. The movie has 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the number 2 movie of the year behind Black Panther, and grossed $678 million domestically, and $1.3 billion overseas, for a total gross worldwide of over $2 billion. That's huge.
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 So, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Avengers Infinity War?
Well, it's not my number 1. It is my number 4.
Okay.
It's my number 4 only because of the ending, though. And had I not seen this in the theater, I don't know that it would have been my number 4 based on that. Because in the theater, there was you saw how it affected people and the shock.
Yeah.
So if you were just sitting at home and saw that, it might not have been as impactful as being in theater. But it was entertaining. Take away the end, and I don't know if it's the best movie of the year. Definitely had some shining moments. I thought Tom Holland did an amazing job with his improv line.
Mm-hmm.
When he said he didn't, he told
I don't feel good.
He told Iron Man that he didn't want to die or whatever. Thought that was great acting. I was infuriated with Star-Lord. He had one job. He had one job.
But yeah, I'm gonna come to the defense of Quill.
You would.
Here's
we go.
the deal. At
You
that moment,
would.
when they're trying to slip the glove off of Thanos, at that moment, Peter discovers that Thanos killed the love of his life. He is not going to be thinking clearly in this moment. And my instinct would be to punch the son of a bitch in the face. And so, yes, he screwed it over for everybody, but
He killed half the population
I get it.
because he
understand.
can't control himself.
well, what about Thor? He didn't go for the head. He should have went for the head.
Well, Thor sucks. I don't know what to tell you. He had it. The glove was off.
None of these
It was
people are
so
Superman.
He could have done it. He cost half the world's population
Well-
because he's a bonehead.
Having watched it again recently, one thought that did pop into my head as they're trying to get the glove off is, why didn't someone just take something and jam it in Thanos' throat while they had him incapacitated? I mean, it wouldn't have made much of a movie, but
That whole
was,
scene-
that was the opportunity
Because
to
part
take
2
him
is
out.
coming.
That's the, and is it really part?
That's what Doctor Strange foresaw. Next time we jam him in the throat.
Two things. Is it really a sequel, the next one, or is it just?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
It's-
definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
It's Infinity Wars 2?
Well-
that's not what it's called.
Because Avengers this isn't the first Avengers, so how is it a sequel?
Well,
this is
it's going to conclude the story arc. So there's a couple of foreshadowing moments in Infinity War.
Part 2, not.
Well, at the end of Infinity War, as the title fades off the screen, you remember this? It like turns into dust, and there's like a 2 remaining, and then it disappears too. So that was a little hint. But also, Doctor Strange says the word "endgame" in the Infinity War, where he says we're now in the endgame. So it all
everything kinda
sets up.
connects now, but
Yeah. So it all sets up.
Here's how there shouldn't be a second one. The first one should have ended when he killed half the population. should have done a plot twist, and he was one of the ones that disappeared. Thanos should have been one of the ones that disappeared. Holding the glove. Oh, crap. Roll credits.
Snap the wrong finger.
Should have went for that. Tim, your thoughts on Infinity War?
I actually have this as my number 2, and I agree with what you guys said. I mean, just to be able to take what they've been able to do with the Avengers movie so far and have all the different characters and be able to give them their moments and still be a
cohesive storyline,
yeah.
a linear storyline with all these characters.
Yeah, unlike what the DC universe is doing or has been doing. Then, so it's kind of amazing. But the Infinity War 2 are also, weren't they shot at the same time?
I think so.
Or,
yeah, I don't
or a lot
think,
of it was shot at the same time.
I
It wasn't.
thought they were.
No.
Did they go into production on the second one afterward? or-
Yep.
Oh.
It was
'Cause
right when the first one came out, they started production. So.
I have a
Oh,
theory
really? Yeah, 'cause
about
I thought they were
Endgame.
shooting it all the
My theory
same
on
time.
Endgame is that it's going to involve time traveling, and I have a feeling that a lot of the stuff that happened in the first movie we're going to see in a different variation in the second one.
At the end of Deadpool, he just gave it away to us. Thanks, Deadpool.
What did he say at the end of Deadpool?
Oh,
Fix
'Cause
the time travel.
he came back.
Oh, right.
He came back and fixed everybody. But
Right.
I don't know. I think it's going to have to do more with Captain Marvel.
Well, obviously,
Coming in.
she's going to play a big role.
I think she's going to play a smaller role than you guys think.
The big question I have, this is getting a little off topic, but Captain Marvel, this movie that's coming out in 2019, is set in the 80s. So where the hell has she been during the invasion of New York and all this stuff? These are all questions that are going to have to be answered.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Where's
in
the
Endgame.
X-Men?
Yeah.
Well, they'll be coming soon.
Richie, your thoughts on Infinity War?
Infinity Wars is my number 2.
Number 2.
I just liked it because of the audience reaction. I mean, it was easily seen what was going to happen. We knew half people were going to die or whatever, but we know that they're going to come back in the next one.
Well, I mean,
It's pretty
there's
lame
already,
when you think about it.
Marvel has all their movies laid out, so we know that there's going to be a spoiler alert Spider-Man movie coming out. So you know that at least some of them are going to come back.
And I think that might be why also I wasn't like some people, not going to name names, that were crying in the movie theater.
Right.
That's true, but they could always go back and have that take place before Infinity War.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
It's like,
I know they're not going to, but I'm just saying they could.
Could.
Now, speaking of that moment at the end of the movie when Thanos finally snaps his fingers and then, like, next thing you know, the credits are rolling. I have these memories of sitting in a theater with a live audience, and I have some of my favorite moments in the theater, and that was one of them. The reaction of the audience when the credits started rolling, basically everyone was like, what the bleep? I mean, that was like
Right.
kids
Yeah,
and old people are like, what the bleep?
That's what I'm talking
Like,
about.
it was
Like,
amazing. that
I knew it was
reaction.
coming, and it was obvious it was coming, and then everybody was like, what the hell? And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, you guys didn't see that coming because we knew it was coming before the movie
Well, I mean,
started.
I was thrown off a little bit because here, there's this whole subplot of Thor going to that planet and forging this new hammer, and it's all building up to him showing up in the nick of time and driving it into his chest, and everyone's like, hooray! And then he's like, should have gone for the head. I'm like, what the hell just happened? So it's almost like a magician, like going, look over here, and then sticks you. And I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely brilliant.
I think we had mentioned this before, but yeah, that was like the closest thing to the feeling that I had from The Empire Strikes Back back in 19.
Yeah. Luckily,
It
we
was
don't have
nice
to
to see
wait
the bad,
3 years.
It's nice to see the bad guy win once in a while.
Yeah, and that's
I mean, it'd be nice if it was a permanent win, but we know it's not because
yeah.
bring people back from the dead.
But since you mentioned
Soap
that, and I
operas.
think we touched on this before, we did a whole podcast devoted to the best villains in movies, and that's one thing I really applaud Marvel is they have the best villains. Thanos, I think, was a great villain.
Yeah,
some
Cable
of
was. Cable was great.
But there's going to be some other movies that we're going to be talking about today that they're great because of the villain. They have really great villains for the most part. All right, enough about Infinity War. We'll address the sequel later this year. I'm going to move on to number 2. Now, this may surprise some people, but here's a little sample of the trailer from the number 2 movie
Probably
for
not.
2018.
Gotta be a Star Wars movie.
Bumblebee.
Joe's number
There is
2.
only one
Make
way.
that clear. Joe's number 2.
What?
You must protect Earth and its people.
I'm Charlie Watson. I'm 18.
Ryan, hand me a
Today,
bucket. I gotta
actually.
vomit.
Is the beetle for sale?
Snap your finger. Get ready.
Cheers, kid. Happy birthday.
Oh my God. What are you?
So you have no idea where he came from?
No idea.
Is there anyone that can help you? Do you have a family?
No way.
Oh, who would it be?
So after the last night, which was the last Transformers movie, which I walked out of, I was done with the Transformers franchise. I'm like, these are just awful. And then I saw the trailer months ago for Bumblebee, and I was like, oh, that looks intriguing, but I was still pretty skeptical. And so then I was at the movie theater. I saw the Star is Born, and as I was leaving A Star is Born, I saw that they were having a special sneak preview of Bumblebee, and I was like, "Are there tickets for this?" And they said, "Yeah." So I went and bought it and got to see it 2 weeks before it was released to the general public. So I went in there. The theater was absolutely packed to capacity, and I'm telling you, throughout this movie, the crowd in unison was laughing at all the right parts, cheering, and at the end of the movie, when the credits rolled, they broke out in spontaneous applause, and I'm like, that is really impressive. I absolutely love this movie. I feel like they took the best elements of the very first Transformers, which I liked most of it, and then I thought the end was just kind of a cluttered mess. But in the first Transformer, there was a story of the boy in the car, the Camaro, Bumblebee, and I really liked that aspect of it. And so I like the fact that they took those elements and turned it into an entire movie. And I kept waiting for the Decepticons to show up and ruin the whole thing. And the best thing about this movie was that they showed restraint. That, yeah, there were some villains, but it just wasn't overwhelming. There wasn't all these battles, aerial battles with jets, and I don't know who's who, and someone blows up, and I'm like, was that a good guy or a bad guy? And so the best thing about this movie is the restraint. I thought it was a great, simple story. I thought Haley Steinfeld was just is it Stanfield? I thought she was a phenomenal actress, and it was nice to have somebody of that caliber in this type of movie. And I came out of that theater just absolutely loving it. It has 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. I totally agree with it. And now they're talking about maybe doing a Origin Optimus Prime about his arrival to Earth. And I feel like Bumblebee has injected this franchise with vigor. Like I'm excited about this franchise again. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Bumblebee?
I had an extremely different experience than you. I agree with some things. I thought she did a great job in the movie acting wise. There were parts in Bumblebee that I found entertaining. I appreciated the fact that they went with the old school bug, back to its roots. And I like how it kind of at the end, he modernized himself a little bit. I thought that was a fun little twist.
Yeah.
Overall, I thought the movie was very there's not much to it. The battle scene at the end was kind of weak. I didn't really like how Bumblebee was like that fish out of water, very childlike. Like Paddington 2 could have been the same movie. Just doesn't know what to do. Harry and the Hendersons, right?
But this is his first time on Earth and experiencing
Harry
it
and the
for
Hendersons
the first
was
time.
his first time in the house. He didn't know what to do. That's kind of the same feel that I got was that childlike. And it was all right. Didn't make my top 10, but we'll rate there.
It had, and I think this was deliberate. I think it had elements of the Love Bug movies. Remember the old Herbie the Love Bug movies?
When I was watching it also.
Yeah. And it definitely borrowed heavily from The Iron Giant, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I
wonder
think
you liked it.
I felt the same way.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah. So this one actually made it to number 9 on mine.
Number 9.
Because I was a huge fan of the Transformers. Like I said before, the 1986 movie is still the best movie in my opinion. I liked the first one for about the first 40 minutes of it, and then it fell apart. I saw one other one at the theater, and I hated it. Mainly because, a huge part of this was that they actually had the design and the cartoon voices of the original Transformers from Generation 1 that they showed on Cybertron. Not only that, but I mean, less is more. It's not all the Michael Bay Bayhem crap. Thank God they finally got rid of him. And I only think, I can only think like what could have been if this would have been the first one. Now, my only issue is if they go back, I mean, how much can they do now with like Optimus Prime or like Megatron? And I mean, how much can they show? I mean, how far can they go back, and how far can, how much can they do there? How much wiggle room do they have to do stuff before the original Transformers movie? But I mean, what Ryan said too, I can almost agree with, because I mean, I liked it, but a lot of people going into this with all the stuff that they've done that have been so over the top, and these huge battles that they have now, that you go back and just have kind of like a quaint little battle between Bumblebee and the other people. Yeah. Like, I mean, I loved it, but people that have like been with the Transformers, cinematic franchise, they might be like, what the hell?
Yeah, I thought the fight was weak too, though. It's not even that it was a little battle. I thought it was just a weak fight. Like,
I liked it. All right, moving on.
Oh, sure. I don't want to say nothing about it.
Damn it. I was hoping he wasn't paying attention. All right, Rich.
Well,
go ahead.
It keeps falling. It's down at number 30 on my list.
30.
It's I agree with Ryan. The fight scene was really weak, and I really felt like I was watching a bad 80s movie. I didn't like the acting at all.
The soundtrack was awesome too.
The soundtrack was pretty sweet. Great. But I felt like I was watching Ernest Saves Transformers or something.
All right, moving on.
Just one other part that I want to mention about the battle. There was a couple times where I almost hopped out of my seat, and when he threw Bumblebee and he like turned into the bug, spun around, came back flying towards him, and like did like a flying punch. That is straight out of the beginning of the cartoon.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the cartoon, this is Bumblebee's the sixth live action interpretation of the Transformers franchise, but most people call it number 7 because most Transformers aficionados consider the animated film the first Transformers movie, and consider it the greatest of all of them. So I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, the bar as far as the live ones were set pretty low.
Yeah,
Bumblebee barely passed over that.
All right, number 3 on my list is not much of a stranger to this one. Most people might rank this higher.
We are home. My son, it is your time. You get to decide what kind of king you are going to be.
I waited my entire life for this. The world's gonna start over. I'm gonna burn it all.
What happens to the rest of the world?
The revolution will not be televised. Let's have some fun.
And someone get this man a shield. Black Panther, the number 1 movie of 2018, box office wise, 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, 700 million domestically, 1.3 billion worldwide. An important movie. A lot of people have embraced this movie. My only gripe about this movie was the lackluster fight scene at the end. I liked Killmonger as the what's the word I'm looking for? The anti-hero, I guess, that does battle with Black Panther, and I liked that character. I just didn't like the way they went.
An anti-hero.
Yeah, but you understood his motivation.
No.
Like, yeah, I
He's a villain.
I appreciated that. But he was an interesting villain, and so. But my only gripe is the fight scene at the end. Other than that, I thought this was great. I thought it was one of Marvel's best, and I look forward to the future of this particular franchise, the Black Panther franchise. Ryan, your thoughts on Black Panther?
I don't have many. It wasn't that great for me. It was a typical Marvel movie. There's good, there's bad. I liked Killmonger, like you said. Primarily, though, because of the acting done in it. I think he's a great actor. This just really was a letdown for me. I was really hoping for more. And for me, it's not Wakanda Forever.
Wow. Damn.
I agree with Ryan. It did not make my top 10. It's a average Marvel movie, in my opinion. I like the Black Panther character. I liked a lot in the movie, but you ask me now, I couldn't even really tell you what happened in the movie.
Well, I mean, part of that is because it came out
besides
such a
certain
long
parts.
time ago. It came out like, what, January, February 2018?
February.
So it's
And not
just-
necessarily because
eternity ago.
there's other movies that I saw in the beginning of the year that I don't feel the same way about.
I liked it. I liked the characters. The character portrayed by, I think her name is Letitia Wright. I thought she was a breath of fresh air. She was just absolutely fantastic and a great inspiration for young girls everywhere. So I don't know. I just think it was an important film and an entertaining film, and I'm happy to see people embrace it. Rich, your thoughts on Black Panther?
Well, Black Panther made it into my top 10. It's my number 7 movie. And I liked it. It was an average Marvel movie that was done well. But I liked how it wasn't all just the hero. The supporting cast kind of drove the movie.
Yeah.
And the hero kind of just rode the waves.
It was definitely an ensemble piece.
Yes.
I agree with you on that. All right, moving on to number 4. This is a movie I just rewatched a couple days ago just to refamiliarize with myself with it. And I actually had to move it up on my list because it was thoroughly entertaining. Here's a little clip from the trailer.
Number 4.
There's this kid. He's in trouble.
Move or die.
Pump the hate brakes, Thanos. I ain't letting Cable get to him. But I can't do this alone. We need backup. We're gonna form a super duper fucking group.
It's time to get back on LinkedIn.
Domino, I'm lucky.
Luck isn't a superpower. It's certainly not very cinematic.
Yes, it is.
Let's meet in the middle and say no, it isn't.
So dark. You sure you're not from the DC universe?
And last but not least, Peter.
Any power you want to tell us about?
I don't have one. I just saw the ad.
You're in.
I loved that character. I love this movie. It had a great story. And then, as you're getting wrapped up in this movie and getting drawn in, and then Deadpool turns to the camera and says something silly. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is Deadpool. But it's actually a very good movie. And it's funny and touching and epic. And I loved everything about this movie. And if they do one more like this, I don't know what the plans are for Deadpool 3, but if they come out with a Deadpool 3 that comes anywhere near this movie, it has to be in the discussion for greatest trilogies of all time. I mean, the first 2 have been incredible, and I can't wait to see them revisit this particular universe. Love this movie, love the humor in it. It was great. One of my favorite movies of the year. Ryan, your thoughts on Deadpool 2?
I just want to say thanks, Adam, for watching. Glad to see you here. Deadpool 2 is number 1 on my list.
Yeah.
You're finally talking some sense there, Johnson. I love this character. The first movie, I was in love with that. I was worried about a sequel because you never know how the sequel's going to go. And they just continued right along. I love the humor. It's my kind of humor. R-rated makes it great. I love them dropping F-bombs and not having any restrictions. And it's
going full Winnie the Pooh.
It's just every character in it was, I like how they mock each other, and I love the taxi cab driver, and just everything about it is great. You could nitpick it, of course, because you can do that with every movie, but I was just entertained, laugh out loud funny, and I would watch it again and again and again.
I agree. Tim?
I'm right with you. I got this as my number 3 as well, and a lot of them that made my list this year have to do with expectations. I honestly expected to go into this movie thinking that future movies were going to have X-Force in it. So I was shocked when they all started getting killed off.
That was a little surprising.
but it was great.
Brad Pitt.
It was like, yeah,
They
there
killed
was so
off
many,
Brad Pitt.
yeah. The Brad Pitt part. I mean, there was just so many little Easter eggs and twists and turns, and then Juggernaut, bringing in an actual good Juggernaut at the end of it. I believe I have almost every Deadpool comic from when he first came out. So it's been disappointing to see some of the characters that I liked in comic book form get put into movie form. But they have nailed Deadpool 2 times now. And unfortunately,
That's what she said.
unfortunately now, though, I just saw that Disney and the Disney Fox deal might be done. So I don't know if we'll actually get the same quality of a movie from Disney if they continue with Deadpool. Which they would be stupid not to, because I mean it was what, the third or fourth highest grossing movie.
Yeah,
But they did
money.
re-release it as a PG-13 movie, so that might.
They did, but
That might look-
didn't do
That's
very
not
well.
the
It's already
future.
coming out on Blu-ray
Yeah,
next
but
week.
everybody already saw it for the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
part. So how
That's
many
true.
new people?
More
did
Fred
you
Savage.
get?
That's true. I wasn't one of them that says that Deadpool needs to be rated R. It's great that he is, but he doesn't necessarily have to be.
Yeah.
I think he does.
I think he does. Now, I haven't read the comic book, so I don't have that reference. So when I go in and see these movies, they're fresh and new to me. And I didn't know what to expect with Cable. I didn't know much about Cable. I went in. I loved what they did with Cable. To kind
Great.
of have him come in as like a villain,
Yeah.
but then as they reveal...
Great anti-hero.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they made him a sympathetic
Got him twice.
character.
You got him twice.
Is he making fun of me?
No,
No, not at all.
But no, the way they revealed why he came back to the present time, and I just thought, wow, this is one of the greatest Marvel villains of all time. I love what they did with that character.
Ah, man, it was
Rich, your thoughts?
it was the highlight of that movie. I love Deadpool 2 because of Cable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I already loved Deadpool, but in X-Force, that was sad.
So crazy,
so
man.
crazy to see him die. But that's what
One
made, that
after
made the
another.
movie, though. And I love the commentary. He's sitting there, no, not you, Peter.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, I mean, technically they're not dead because if
He
you
does.
stayed,
Oh,
that's
if
right.
you stayed till after the credits.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And now that he has that time device, anything
Oh my
goes,
god! And
so.
the
You're
after
welcome,
credits
Canada.
when he shoots himself as to stop Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was like
great.
the greatest.
And the clean up continuity in the
Right.
X-Men movies and stuff.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was just
brilliant.
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, number 5 on my list. I think this is one of the most entertaining movies of the year.
Help me bring supers back into the sunlight. We need to change people's perceptions about superheroes, and Elastigirl is our best play.
Better than me?
Bye, sweetie.
I'll watch the kids, no problem.
And Jack Jack.
He's in excellent health. Combustion imminent? What does that mean? Ah!
It means fire, Robert.
Suit up. It might get weird.
I'll be there ASAP.
Where you going, ASAP? You better be back, ASAP.
Incredibles 2, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, $680 million domestically, $1.2 billion worldwide. How many years passed between these two Incredibles 1?
Man,
14.
Was it 14 years between?
Yes.
Like that.
Long overdue. And I love what they did with this movie, making Mr. Incredible the stay-at-home dad while Elastigirl is the breadwinner, I guess you could say. Absolutely loved that. And then as Jack's getting his powers and Mr. Incredible having to deal with it, this movie was enormously entertaining. And one of the funniest sequences out of all the movies I've seen in 2018 is when Jack goes toe-to-toe with the raccoon. I laughed my butt off in this movie. I'm like, can you imagine not paying attention to your child and he's in the backyard fighting a raccoon? It's that absurd. But, man, I laughed out loud at this movie.
That was a
Loved
funny part.
everything about it.
I love that part.
Ryan, your thoughts on Incredibles 2?
This is one of the ones I missed.
You never saw Incredibles 2?
I didn't. Like I said, the kids, I had plans on taking them to see it. And they already saw it, so it kind of went by, just passed me by. Not that I didn't want to see it. But.
Tim?
This is my number 6, and I was not a fan of the original very much. I mean,
Wow.
I saw that
Loved it.
I saw it at the theater. I never bothered. to see
I'm
it.
with you on that.
Yeah, I never bothered to see it again. I never wanted to buy it or anything. It was just kind of one of those movies
That's
that I
surprising.
saw and just
I think-
kind of went along. And
Stripping the Pixar thing and all that, I think it's one of the greatest action flicks ever made.
the first
People,
one,
Yes.
people always talk about how
I-
great it is, and I'm with you. I just didn't get it. I was
Yeah.
like, all right.
You guys are in the
I-
minority on this one.
I mean, I'm sure I am.
Majority of the room, though.
I'm sure I am. I don't know why, but I loved this one. I think her as the main character worked better than having him as the main character. And then just excuse me, and then just the whole family dynamics and everything, and just I really liked this movie a lot, and again, surprised me how much I liked it.
Yeah.
Because going in, not being a huge fan of the first one, I didn't think that I would like it as much as I did, but I really liked it a lot.
I mean, the twists and turns in this movie weren't all that twisty and turny. I mean, I saw him coming a mile away, but
well, as soon as I heard Bob Odenkirk's voice, I thought he was going to end up the villain.
Right.
So that, they did at least, throw me for a loop there. But
yeah. Rich, your thoughts on Incredibles 2?
It was good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was better than the first one, but I wasn't a big fan of the first one either. And it's a movie I don't have to see again, but it was very. I appreciate when the sequel is better, and I love the characters from the first. When I watched the first movie, the characters I loved. Mm-hmm. The movie was okay, and the second one, the movie was great. So,
all right,
that's all I got to say about that.
All right, so that's my top 5. If we have time, we'll come back to my next 5. But let's start going around the table. Ryan, what's the highest ranked movie on your list that we have not discussed yet?
So we talked about Deadpool 1, but Deadpool 2 is my number 1. Number 2 for me, and this probably is not a surprise to you guys either, but for me, number 2 this year was A Star is Born. Now, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I've talked all year long about, since this came out anyways, that this is my Oscar pick. It has wavered a little bit over the last month. There are a couple contenders now that I'm considering, but I just really enjoyed this movie. It was a long movie, but I didn't feel it. It told a whole story. Phenomenal acting. I thought Bradley Cooper did a great job. I was really impressed with Lady Gaga. Her singing was off the chart. We saw it in the Dolby Theater. I don't know if that helped out the cause, but it definitely didn't hurt it. When she belts out that Shallow song on stage, it just is a memorable movie moment for me, and so it's my number 2.
Maybe it's time to let the old ways down. Maybe it's time to let the old ways down.
Do you write songs or anything?
I don't sing my own songs.
Why?
I just don't feel comfortable.
Why wouldn't you feel comfortable?
Almost every single person has told me they like the way I sounded, but that they didn't like the way I look.
I think you're beautiful.
Shallow now.
Oh,
when I
what version was that? I heard, some hurt my ears all of a sudden at the end.
That was a little pitchy dog. No, when I finally got around to seeing this movie in the theater, I sat there, watched it, and during the movie, I'm like, Oscar, Oscar, Oscar. I'm predicting Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress. I thought the songs, which were all original, were instantly catchy, and I felt like these songs had existed for years. And like you said, the climax of the movie where she's on stage belting out that song is one of the greatest movie moments, if not this past year, the past few years. Great movie. Tim?
I am kicking myself because I normally try to catch every movie that Jamie Kennedy is in. I've mentioned that before. So I did not see it.
For those just joining us, he thinks Bradley Cooper is Jamie Kennedy.
Hey, we met Jamie Kennedy.
And he is no Bradley Cooper.
I thought that was Bradley Cooper. I thought that was Bradley Cooper we saw at the Improv.
I thought it was too.
Ow.
I took a picture with
Jamie,
Bradley
get off
Cooper.
my foot.
Jamie Kennedy.
Anyway,
Jamie,
no,
get off my other foot.
this was one that I wanted to see, and I never got a chance to see it.
Richie?
Well, let me tell you something, Joe. A Star is Born was my number 1 pick for Oscar for picture, actor, and actress. Unfortunately, I saw more movies, and Bradley Cooper, I think he can have it, but I don't know if he's going to beat out Christian Bale for Vice.
I disagree. I think Bradley Cooper has this locked in.
Did you even see Vice?
No, but
how can you disagree on something you haven't seen the other person act yet?
I got a different one for that challenge him.
Now, the thing that really impressed me with A Star is Born was when Bradley Cooper comes onto the screen. I'm like, now, keep in mind, I didn't know a whole lot about this movie prior to going to see it. And I'm like, why is he impersonating Sam Elliott? Because he was talking like Sam Elliott. And I'm like, that's an interesting choice. And then Sam Elliott comes on, and they're brothers, and he accuses his character of stealing his voice, and I'm like, that's freaking brilliant.
Tell you what,
like,
that moment with Sam Elliott in the truck after he dropped him off, that was Oscar right there.
Yeah.
That's
best
supporting actor right there.
Sam Elliott.
I don't cry at movies, but I might have pulled the Joe Johnson in that moment. I believe Ryan leaned over, asked me if I was crying.
Yeah.
Nah, popcorn got my.
There were a lot of.
I was
lot of
probably like,
moments
"Are you effing crying?"
There were a lot of moments in this movie where I'm like, Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, mark my words. When we revisit the Oscars in a few weeks,
Andrew Dice Clay had a great performance.
he was
Like,
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody even it took us a while watching it. Like, holy crap, that's Dice.
Yeah.
It's still probably
Well, he
going to
was-
get Best Picture.
He was great in Entourage. I thought he
Oh,
did
yeah,
a great
for sure.
job in Entourage. But so all right. So are we done with Star is Born?
Yes.
Oscars all around. We'll get back to that when we do our Oscar episode.
Yes.
All right. What else you got, Ryan?
Number 3 for me, also an Oscar nominee potential is Green Book. Anybody get around to seeing Green Book?
Yes, I got around to seeing
did
Green
not.
Book.
Okay. I watched it because it had the Oscar hype. I didn't have a lot of hope for it, but I was super impressed with the way that the movie played out. I know it's a true story, but I thought they did a really good job telling the story. I thought the acting was great. So I think there is Bradley Cooper's competition for me. I haven't seen Vice yet. So maybe I'll
Vigo?
I think Vigo did an amazing job.
Vigo, yeah.
I think
I think any other year he has it.
his character was likable. He was also like played the timepiece period brilliantly. I walked out of the theater talking in a New York accent. And, I just thought they did a great job. So much so that even on the way home and for the next 3 days after I saw this movie, I was actually listening to my Spotify. I put on Don Shirley, his piano hits, his greatest hits and stuff. And what a phenomenal artist he was. And I just think this from start to finish was entertaining, fun, and definitely Oscar worthy.
When I posted my top 10 favorite movies on Facebook, the number one comment I got from a lot of people who saw it was, "Did you not see Green Book?" So I haven't seen it yet. I'm sure I'll see it before the Oscars roll around, and I'll get back to you with my opinion on it.
Wow.
So Tim, you haven't seen it?
No.
Rich, your thoughts on Green Book?
I loved Green Book. I thought it was great. And what's his name that plays Don?
I can't say his name.
Muhammad.
The guy from
Amazing job. He did an amazing job. I love the kind of role reversal that was
50
going
Years
on
a
there.
Slave that he was in.
Yeah.
Wow.
To make it into your top 10, Rich?
Green Book. Green Book did. I don't know. Probably.
Rich can't read.
But anyways, as I was talking, Green Book is number 11, but
Just missed the
just
top 10.
missed the top 10. And like I said, any other year I think it would be best movie. Any other year I think Vigo would have it, but I still think Bradley and Christian Bale going to be the top
Mahershala
winners.
Ali.
Mahershala Ali. I thought the scene where he was telling him like, "I'm too white to be black and too black to be white." Like,
Yeah.
What am I? And
Yeah, where do I
I
fit?
think that's just
Especially in the time period. As well. It was,
I mean, it's true today as far as people like trying to find out their identity,
Sure.
and they're trying to fit in, and there's all these stereotypes around and stuff. And I thought that was an amazing scene.
All right, it's on my must-see list. Ryan, what else you got?
Number 4 was Avengers. Number 5 for me was The Black Klansman.
Okay.
Did not see that one.
Are you supposed to say KK Klansman? How are you?
It's just Klansman.
It's in the title, though,
it's
right?
spelled
KKK.
KKK Klansman, but it's Black Klansman.
I know nothing about this movie.
That left the theater so quick, I missed it.
Didn't leave that quick, actually.
Recap
Maybe your
the,
theater, but I don't know what came out after it. Maybe that pushed it, but
Recap the premise of that movie.
So basically, this guy is an FBI agent, or he's a cop trying to be an FBI agent. He gets bumped up, and so he contacts the KKK.
Now he's a black man,
and
right?
Pretends to be white, and becomes buddy with what's Rich? What's the Grand Wizard name? The
Grand Wizard.
No, that was David Duke.
Oh, David Duke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's set in modern
Is this
times?
based on a true story?
It's based on a true story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I thought this was like set in the 50s or something.
No, it's like in the 80s. Or
Oh, wow.
Or 90s.
And so he like befriends him and uses Driver as a white dude. what I forget his first name. Driver.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. Thank you.
Oh, I thought you meant he was.
Yeah. I was about to say.
I was about to say Danica Kirkpatrick.
I was gonna say Kylo Ren.
Chauffeur.
But so he's another cop that plays the white version in front of everybody, and it's just a really interesting to watch it all unfold. Great performances. It's Denzel's kid actually is the guy that plays the main character.
Wow.
So that great acting has been definitely passed down to the next generation.
Is this a Spike Lee movie?
Yes.
Okay.
He produced it, right?
Yeah. No,
He directed it.
He directed it, I believe.
Let's fact check this.
I wanted to see this. I actually got it out of Redbox a couple weeks ago, and it did not work in my Blu-ray player. So who do you complain to Redbox? So I just had to return it.
Redbox.
So I didn't get a chance to watch it. Yeah.
They did not want you to see it.
Apparently
That's
not.
a conspiracy somewhere.
Apparently
Conspiracy.
Rich, did this crack your top 10?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
No, but it might.
Oh,
have.
you said it was in and
it
out.
might.
Of
It was
the
like
theater,
it was
so.
like in and out of the theater, like within a month, and I didn't get around to seeing it because I had
right.
other movies ahead of it.
Maybe they brought it back or something. I feel like it was there.
Like the poster was there forever, and it was just like it was kind of like Battle of the Sexes. It was only there for a few weeks.
All right, you're on your own on this one.
Well,
what
you guys
else
do yourself a favor. Everybody go out and see it. That's my top 5.
All right, Tim, what do you got? Recap the ones we've touched on that are on your list. What was number 1 on your list?
I haven't talked about it
Oh,
yet.
you haven't?
No.
Okay.
My number 1 is
So you're having a bad show.
a movie.
I thought you had mentioned that there was something was on your number 1.
No.
Joe thought that one of his number 5 had to be number 1 on everybody else's list.
Right.
But it's not like mine.
My number 1, and I doubt, well, you guys might have seen it, is called Alpha. And it is about it's about a kid that goes on his first hunt before like the last ice age with his tribe, and gets left for dead, what they think is left for dead. And then he's got to survive on his own. He ends up getting attacked by a group of wolves, and he injures one of the wolves, and they leave, and the pack leaves the injured wolf behind, and then those two end up having to survive together. It's a fictional tale of how man and dog become
domesticated.
Yeah. But this movie, I mean, the trailers don't do it any justice. First of all, it's all subtitled.
See, that's
which
what
I had
lost
no
me was
idea.
the trailer. I usually judge a movie whether I want to see it or not is on the trailer, and that trailer did nothing for me.
Yeah, this is another one that, like, the expectation for me was way different than the movie itself. Like I said, it was all subtitled. The movie kind of made it look like it was going to be like almost like a Disney adventure romp thing. It really was not that. I mean, it's not like all, down or anything. It's not all depressing, but anyway, it's one of the Hughes brothers, Albert Hughes. This is the first movie that he did on his own. The cinematography was just beautiful in it. I just came out of this movie and I was just like, I really liked it. And
is there any CGI in this, or is it all
the
live
CGI?
action?
That's the only complaint that I have. There
What
was
did
a
they
couple
do in
CGI animals. Well, they were hunting buffalo in the beginning. The buffalo didn't look the best, and then there was like a lion attack at some point. The lion didn't look the greatest, but everything else, those are my those are two minor complaints that I have about it. But I really enjoyed this movie a lot.
You guys got anything? Chime in on this one.
I've got nothing.
Nothing. Me neither. Nothing.
Sorry,
This one kind of flew under the radar too. I mean, I understand, but
I remember seeing the previews,
but it was really good.
I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, I meant to see it actually, but it just.
So my number 2 was Infinity War. My number 3 was Deadpool 2, and my number 4 is Annihilation.
Now this is I was trying to, when I saw that, like President Obama had it on his list. I'm like, what the hell is Annihilation? And then I looked it up. This is the Natalie Portman movie.
Yeah, and you guys know that I'm not a Natalie Portman fan because she ruined the Star Wars prequels. But
speaking of trailers, I gotta say, the trailers for this movie looked abysmal. Looked
Did you see
awful.
Jar Jar?
Not at all. This
agree
you know
with
what?
you, Joe.
I don't even remember seeing the trailer, but I remember seeing maybe on Rotten Tomatoes what a high score it had and reading a little bit about it. So I went and saw it. The premise is that like some meteors hit and it creates this what they call the shimmer Some people go into the shimmer. And only 2 people actually made it out of it, and I think it was her and her husband. I mean, it was in the beginning of the year that I saw it, so I don't remember every little thing about it.
Her husband comes out, and then she's got to go in to figure out what happened to him.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Did you
I
see
remember
it
that from the previews.
Oh, okay. But so she goes in with like a group of other women, and hijinks ensue. And I mean, this is like really a hardcore science fiction movie. But it's made by the same guy that did Ex Machina a couple years ago, which I think that was in my top 10 the year that came out. And I really liked this movie a lot.
Wow. You guys see it?
Nope.
Right?
I think the only way I'd see this movie is if I was dating a woman and she's like, "We're gonna watch this movie."
Yeah.
All
right.
I wanted to check it out because I heard good things
It's
about
not
it.
like a big woman empowerment movie or anything.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just.
Okay.
I wanted to see it based on
I mean, like I said,
people's recommendations.
Yeah.
So I just didn't get
like I
it.
said, don't go in expecting like a Alien or something. It's definitely like hardcore science fiction, but I liked it.
All right.
My number 5. This one definitely exceeded my expectations because this is one that I just took my daughter to thinking it was just going to be a kids movie, and I cracked up through the whole thing. I loved it. I loved every part of it, and it is Peter Rabbit.
Oh, I didn't think that's where you were going. Oh, you were going to another movie.
You just rewatched it recently, didn't you?
And I did. Yeah, because she got that from Santa Claus, and so I rewatched it by myself. And
had to make sure it was okay. The DVD version was uncensored.
Well, it started, I mean, even the way that it started out, because it starts out with these birds singing a song, and so I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, this is what it's going to be. And then the birds end up getting taken out by something else, and they're like, that is not the type of story that we're going to tell here.
Huh.
And it's Peter versus Farmer McGregor, or Mr. McGregor, whatever it is, but actually it's his son. But it's just like the back and forth with it. I don't know if you've seen it, Ryan, but the humor, I think, would be up your alley big time.
Yes.
And that's what surprised me about it, was like the humor in it.
What
it was
about
like,
them making fun of the food allergies?
oh my God.
There was
Get a life,
there was
people.
a faction of people who were complaining about this movie because they were poking fun at the fact that the farmer
They're,
had food allergies.
yes, they're
Can't do
rabbits.
anything
They're
anymore.
rabbits, and they overhear that he's got allergies to blueberries. So how else are they going to combat him? So they shoot. They use pea shooters to shoot the blueberries in his mouth, so he goes into anaphylactic shock. But he does have
These rabbits are evil.
The feel-good movie of the summer,
But
ladies
he's
and
got an
gentlemen.
EpiPen, so he saves himself right off the bat. There's no real peril.
How's a rabbit
Peter
gonna
Peril.
But in the words of William Shatner, get lives, people.
I think this is another one that my kids saw without me, so that's why I never got around to seeing it.
Rich, did you see Peter
Yes,
Rabbit?
yes, I did, and it was very funny. It's number 22 on my list, but it was very funny and entertaining. And yeah, it was, I mean, how else are rabbits going to fight a human? I mean,
Exactly.
They need to go to extremes if they're going to win.
Hey, Brian Ward, by the way, says the prequels are not Natalie Portman's fault. So
Well,
She had a big part in
well,
doing
now
it.
that I
takes
know that it came from
responsibility
him,
for 'em.
I'll have to disagree because it's Brian Ward.
I don't know anybody that likes Star Wars more than Mr. Ward. So.
Natalie Portman has gone on record
you,
as
Joe.
saying that when she was dragged overseas to shoot the prequels, that she did not want to be there, and it reflects in her performance, and she apologized for it. So there.
Samuel Jackson, you can throw him in there too. Both of them sucked.
Man.
Wow.
All right. So that's your top 5. And
That is my top 5.
Richie.
Me.
Jeez. I know where he's going with this.
I'm about
We're
ready.
just about out of time.
I'm glad I'm
We're
by
gonna-
the door. That's all
We're
I'm.
going to wrap this up
Well, look,
early, I think.
You got my number 2, number 4, and number 5.
Yeah, all right.
You know, I got a cool number
2, 4,
6.
5.
All right, throw your number 1 at us. I don't have any action figures from it, but go
Pod
ahead.
Padmavat.
Yeah,
It's an Indian film.
classic.
It is. It is. It's one of the most entertaining films I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
I love the dance numbers. I love the storyline. I love the villain, the Sultan Aladdin. It's an Indian film, by the way, folks. If you're wondering what it is.
Yeah,
And I don't understand why you guys didn't see it when I suggested it a long time ago.
didn't come up around the water cooler. Ryan, your thoughts on Padawan?
It's Padmavat.
So Brian Ward says that it's George Lucas's fault.
Ultimately, yes.
It's Brian
George
Ward's
Lucas's fault. I understand, but he did
Edward Williams
cast the
said,
kid too.
he agreed on Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, he was bad.
All right.
Any thoughts on Rich's number one movie, The Import?
Never saw it.
All right. We'll revisit it when the Oscars
Shocking.
roll
You guys
around.
are missing it.
Recap your the 2s through 5s. What do you got there?
Well, you got number 2, Infinity Wars, but you don't have a number 3.
All right. Throw your number 3.
My number 3 is
what country is it from?
It's I think it's an American film.
What is it
filmed in
portraying?
England.
Yeah, England. Do they have English accent?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Favorite.
Okay.
This is going to be an Oscar nominations for I don't know which woman in it because all 3 of them are fabulous.
What is it about? I've heard of this.
It's got Olivia Colman, Rachel Weisz, and Emma Stone in it.
It's misspelled though, so I don't want to see it.
There's a U in it, right?
Right.
Weird.
Very
it's
British.
English. So Rachel and Emma are battling to be number 1 with the Queen. The Queen has her lady, and actually Rachel has
She's a
it
lady.
already, and Emma comes in and kind of steals it away. Has to like throw who she is away, and for some reason the Golden Globes has it as a comedy.
Well, they've been doing that lately.
But when you watch the trailer, though, it does come across
But
as a
that's-
comedy. I mean, I
does.
laughed at the trailer.
It has dark comedy elements in it, but for me, a comedy is something that is just silly and it's funny all the way through. Even a dark comedy has to have comedy all the way through. This just has moments of comedy in it.
Now, we discussed this, but take into consideration that The Martian, starring Matt Damon, stuck on Mars, was labeled a comedy by the Golden Globes. So
that's what I was going to say.
And that's what I'm saying. That there's really no credibility with the Golden Globes.
But
anymore
I
on
thought
this.
that was fun.
Isn't that coming from the production company itself? They put them in there as a comedy because they think that
they got a better chance of winning.
Yeah,
could be.
Yeah, it's silly because it's actually a very good movie, and
I got to admit, the trailer's
heard
look
nothing but
intriguing.
good things
it might
about
be
this movie,
nominated for
actually.
best movie. But
If it gets a Best Picture nomination,
one of those,
I'll go check it out.
1 or 2 of those 3 women are going to end up with Academy Awards.
Now, do you think the nudity was necessary to help the story along?
Or do you think it was gratuitous, Richie?
No, it was not gratuitous. The nudity actually did help the story along.
Would you say that about every Emma Stone movie that there's nudity in? From her.
Is this the first one?
No, I still say the Battle of Sexes. There was a scene.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah, no, it wasn't like totally needed, but it portrayed what it had to portray.
Okay. All right, number 4.
My number 4 was Deadpool 2. My number 5 was A Star Is Born.
Okay, that's your top 5.
Yeah, that's my top 5.
All righty. Let's move on to my number 6. Just curious if you guys agree that this is top 10 material.
So, how long have you been Ant-Man again?
Not long. It just sort of happened.
I wish I could fight bad guys like you.
I seem to mess it up almost every time.
Maybe you just need someone watching your back. Like a partner.
Ant-Man and the Wasp teaming up.
Follow my lead.
You go low, I'll go high.
I have wings. Why would I go low?
What'd I miss? We were just tiny.
I liked Ant-Man and the Wasp more than the first one. I thought the first one was just another run-of-the-mill origin story, and I found it kind of tedious. Now that they got the origin story out of the way, I really enjoyed the sequel. I thought the Wasp was a great addition. And I thought the villain was sympathetic. This woman who was suffering and wanted the technology to try and find a cure. They called her the Ghost in the movie. I found this movie really entertaining. Ryan, do you agree?
It's number 9 on my list, but not because I thought it was a great movie, but I think there was just a lot of bad movies this year. So,
process of elimination.
By process of elimination, it ended up at number 9, just ahead of Bumblebee for me. So,
Tim,
I had some issues with this movie. It did not make my top 10.
What were your issues?
There was a couple scenes in here where the acting was atrocious.
Yeah.
From all these people that are considered great actors. Just not good, and
had a lot of,
and it was just kind of convoluted. I think it got to a point where it was just like, I don't know. There was just some choppy editing, and I did not care for the villain that much.
Yeah, I didn't like the
really Ghost.
Yeah, Nah.
I thought it allowed them to do some really cool creative effects with her phasing in and out.
Yeah.
Rich, do you agree with these bozos?
I'm sorry, Joe. I'm in shock that this is your number 6. It's my number 8, but I'm shocked this is your number 6
it's
because
too off.
There's a
You're
movie.
shocked?
There's a movie floating out there. It's actually my number 6 that I swore that would have been your number 1 or in your top 5, and you haven't mentioned it yet. But
Well,
I'm
maybe
sure
it's this
you
next
might,
movie.
You might get there.
I'm going to bring this movie up. This is probably the biggest surprise for me of the year. Now, it came out way back in, I think, January of 2018. Everyone raved about this movie. I'm like, I dismissed it as being a kid movie, and I just avoided it all year long. But then when I started seeing people's greatest movies of 2018, this was, if not near the top, at the top of a lot of lists. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go find this on DVD, sit down and watch it. So I went out and picked up Paddington 2
I thought it was
on
Solo.
DVD.
It still isn't the movie I thought it was.
I sat down and watched Paddington 2.
Hey, Rich, you want to watch Paddington 2?
Brilliant idea.
Sure.
I'm going to get a job and buy that book for Aunt Lucy's birthday.
This pop-up book, where on earth did you find it?
Mr. Gruber's antique shop.
Stop! Freeze! Hold it right there.
Oh, but I'm not the thief. I may look like a hardened criminal, but I'm innocent.
Where do you think you're going, Bear?
Paddington wouldn't hesitate if any of us needed help. He looks for the good in all of us. Oh.
This movie was incredible. And a little tidbit here, it's the best reviewed movie in the history of Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
It has 215 reviews, 100% rating.
Wow.
The best reviewed movie ever on Rotten Tomatoes. I was surprised at how much I laughed in this movie. Loved this movie. Went back and watched the first Paddington because of it. Didn't like the first one as much as the second one, even though I enjoyed the first one. But the second one is about as close to a perfect movie as you can get. If I had kids, I would sit down and watch this movie with kids. It is a great, great movie that any of you get around to seeing Paddington Bear 2.
I thought that we were doing great things with the opioid crisis in this country, but apparently not, because you, sir, are on drugs.
Wow.
Son, I'm just going to tell you this one time. Yes. You want to keep working here. Stay off the drugs.
So you're telling me a movie that's got
here.
100% positive, 250 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's what he's saying.
And you're telling me, I don't get it. Why you like it?
250?
215 positive reviews. 100%.
That's not that many people when you really think about it, first of all.
No, these
second
are critics.
Second of all, it's not that it was a bad
Anybody
movie.
could be a critic.
It was a fine movie, but you just said it was a perfect movie.
I said it was pretty close
And
to a perfect movie.
It wasn't at all.
Really?
And there was, but I liked the voice of the bear. It was very calming, very soothing. It was very enjoyable. There was some really,
Talking out of both sides of your
there's
ass
a
right
couple
now.
funny parts in it, but overall, it's still Paddington 2.
Yeah.
So
that's why it's low on my list. But
7. You
I
picked
really
this over
enjoyed it.
things like Bohemian Rhapsody. Are you kidding? So you're telling me
still picked it over number 6, where I swear it was going to be your number 1.
you're sitting there telling me you would rather watch Paddington 2 over
Yes.
Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yes.
Wow, you
I
have
don't-
lost
I
your
don't
mind.
see
I've got to see this movie now.
I don't see
I'm
me.
calling Crystalia right now.
I may or may not pick up Bohemian Rhapsody on DVD, but I will watch Paddington 2 again when I feel like it. I absolutely love the movie. I love when he goes to prison and you're thinking, oh my God, what's this bear going to do in prison?
Great,
Spoiler alert.
great
Awesome.
job. When he goes to prison,
Awesome.
It's been out since the beginning of the year.
It's been out for
Spoilers
a freaking
are
year.
I'm not even talking about
Spoiler
spoiler
alert.
alert. I'm just
Don't
talking
apply
about the
it.
storyline.
Buddies
I had no interest in seeing this movie until Joe Johnson said, hey, everybody tells me to see this movie.
No,
It's got
I-
215. I was like, all right, I want to see it.
I really liked the first one. I really liked this one, but it could not make my top 10 because I only put ones that I actually saw at the theater on there.
Okay.
I did not see it at the theater. Either of them. I didn't see either of them at the theater, but I did like it. I don't know if it would have made
Lost
my top 10 or not. It probably
mind.
would have, but
Lost your mind.
they're good movies.
It might have. I was supposed to
check them
I
out.
was supposed to borrow it from a friend, but I think we both forgot before tonight. I was supposed to watch it.
It's just not.
Rounding out my top 10, I won't play clips, but Mission Impossible Fallout was
What?
great.
Still?
Ready Player One
Never saw
was
it.
fun.
Finally!
That's my number.
How is that not
that's
your
my
number one?
7.
You
Isn't it a
loved
great
that movie.
story?
You loved it. You
I know, I
raved
love-
about it.
I-
You raved about it so much.
King Kong and Mechagodzilla make
Rave
appearances.
about- I said that I loved the Easter eggs in the movie. That was fun, but immediately upon seeing it, I thought this isn't the most original story I've ever seen, and that's why it ranks so low on my list.
And
was
but
it fun?
Paddington
Yes.
2 is the most original story you've ever seen?
Yes, it's very original.
I gotta agree. Yeah, Paddington 2 was actually pretty original.
one of the most
gotta see
original
it. I've gotta
movies
see
of
it.
the entire
Paddington is
year.
gonna go to prison.
Paddington 2. I've got to see Paddington 2.
The lovable bear.
And then number 10 on my list,
Guys, there's something wrong.
Bohemian Rhapsody is number 10
Why?
on my list.
Don't know what just happened.
Now, Rich, you called me out for liking it more than Star is Born.
Yes.
I think A Star is Born is a better movie, and like I said, it's going to win a bunch of Oscars. But I just had a lot of fun watching Bohemian Rhapsody, and the music was fantastic.
I think the music was fantastic. I think the lead actor was fantastic, but I
Right.
thought the story was just too fluffed up.
Well, yeah, it was sort of. I mean, the movie's PG, I think, or PG-13.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
what
how do you tell the story of Freddie Mercury with a PG-13 movie?
That was the only issue.
So
I had
I
with
think it would have been a better movie if they would have gotten an R rating. But I love the music. I love the story.
I would have loved to see
Fairly
that
basic.
movie in their Dolby theater.
I mean, I liked it, but they did take a lot of liberties with it too. It was not a true story. I mean,
Right.
They
They did take a lot.
They did.
Yeah. All right, so we're past an hour, so I'm gonna have to keep going.
Overtime!
Keep going.
We just redlined the sound. The sound guy is deaf now.
So Ryan,
All
round
right.
out your top 10 there.
So we've mentioned most of them. Number 6 is Ready Player One for me. I thought it was a really fun, and I love the 80s references, and I like the animation in it. I thought it was a great story. Number 7 was Bohemian Rhapsody. Again, I like the music in it as well. It inspired a lot of people to go out and purchase their album again, and it soared up the charts on Spotify again. So people kind of reconnected with it, and I thought it was really well done. I liked how they didn't focus on the negativity of everything, from the band breakup to him having AIDS. They just did it in a really classy way, I thought.
Now, before you move on to the next movie, I was a little curious as to why they called it Bohemian Rhapsody, because the title suggests that this is suggesting that they're all working toward the creation of this epic song, and they kind of gloss over Bohemian Rhapsody, and it all leads up to the Live Aid concert. And I'm like, so why did they call it Bohemian Rhapsody? I think if they wanted to pick a song title to name the movie using a Queen song title, it should be Somebody to Love, because that's the premise of the movie, is Freddie Mercury wrestling with his identity, trying to find somebody to love, which they address in the movie. So I think Somebody to Love would have been a better title for the movie.
Oh, that was way better than my pick of Fat Bottom Girls.
That was the alternate title for Paddington.
Fat Bottom Girls. No, I just thought it was really, really well done. Number 8 on my list was White Boy Rick. Anybody get around?
Man, I missed that one.
That was a theatrical release?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that kind of came and went, didn't it?
It went pretty quick.
It was.
Yeah.
It was around.
You guys are just.
I believe it has gotten nominated for some Razzies as well. Just saying.
Ooh, interesting.
It was one of
It
those.
was,
But I didn't see it,
maybe,
so I don't know.
Maybe because it happened around here, that plays a part in, people around here know it. But I thought it was really entertaining. I enjoyed seeing how they portrayed the story. I thought there was some great acting, actually, in it. So it made number 8 on my list, White Boy Rick.
Okay.
You guys, I don't know. You like different things, I guess. 9, Ant-Man vs. Wasp. 10 was Bumblebee. I do want to throw out a couple of things real quick on this list. One thing that was low on my list, but a surprise, I actually really enjoyed a lot of Life of the Party with Melissa McCarthy.
That's where she goes back to school.
Goes back to school, and I thought it was going to be just awful, and I accidentally watched it because it was on HBO and TV was just on, and I found myself kind of actually really watching it and getting into it, and again, like I said, not very high on my list, but it was a lot better than I was expecting. And then the worst movie I got to mention, don't believe the hype, people. Bird Box sucks.
That's what I've been hearing.
Absolutely sucks. Don't watch it. Don't do it.
Didn't even hear about it.
We'll wrap up the podcast with our worst movies. So, right. Tim, round out your top 10.
My number 6 was Incredibles 2. My number 7 is Ready Player One. pretty much the same reason you guys said. I mean, I thought it was a pretty original story. I mean, it's not the most original story, but I mean, you had. I mean, what really put it over the top for me was, I mean, besides a lot of the horror stuff, references in it. I mean, especially the huge part with the Overlook Hotel and all that. But Mecha Godzilla, and King Kong making appearances in it that like really put it over.
That's the best thing about the movie. Just all the little pop culture references was great.
Number 8 is the best Spider-Man movie to me that they've done.
Agreed.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Agreed.
I liked it. Didn't crack my top 10. I thought it was. I thought it was hyper stimulus. Too much going on the screen. I thought I was going to have a seizure.
Oh, come on.
But I liked a lot about it. I thought the animation was revolutionary. I thought it was a work of art. And there was a lot I liked about the movie. I just thought it was a little too cluttered with all the.
I mean, I just liked all the
guys.
All that stuff, all the little Easter eggs and references to all the other Spider-Mans and everything. I really liked.
And one of the greatest post-credit sequences I've ever seen.
That was hilarious.
Too. My number 9 was Bumblebee, but I want to mention another movie that came out that was very similar to Bumblebee, AXL or Axel. It's a total 80s homage movie. Same thing along the same contract, along the same lines. But a soundtrack though wise, a lot of it was the same, but it kind of reminded me of the same thing. It's like basically for whatever reason the government creates this mechanical dog, and
I saw the trailer for that. That looked terrible.
The only reason that I saw it was because I read reviews of it and they were saying it's a total 80s homage. Ryan, there's a huge homage to Rad in it. Like
I'm gonna go run it tonight.
A lot of it is like the whole premise of the kid is based on Rad. But it reminded me a lot of Bumblebee because, the kid ends up finding this government equipment. The government's coming after him, whatever. But, I mean, it's not the greatest movie. But if you're looking for an 80s homage movie, I mean, it looks like, honestly, when you're watching it, this could have been made in the 80s. And then my number 10 is a tie between A Quiet Place and Aquaman.
Oh, jeez.
Aquaman, let me tell you.
Aquaman was terrible.
What?
It's not terrible.
It was good and terrible.
Ryan,
I was looking forward
Joe's on drugs.
I was looking forward to a lot of the monster movies that were coming out this year. To me, Aquaman was the best monster movie that came out.
I think Aquaman was the most poorly written movie I saw this year.
The dialogue is not
awful.
good, but that does not matter in this type of movie.
The best thing about Aquaman is Jason Momoa. The guy is.
I thought Aquaman was great.
Likable.
I loved Aquaman.
But I just thought
easily the best DC movie.
12-year-old.
Easily the best DC movie since since the Nolan Batmans.
I disagree. Yeah. Wonder Woman is still the best DC.
And A Quiet
movie.
Place, just let me say real quick, it's not the greatest movie, but just what the director was able to do to manipulate the crowd. I've never been in a movie like that where the crowd was getting pissed at people for munching on their popcorn.
Oh, right.
Quiet Place. I had this conversation over New Year's, and it landed number 1 on a lot of people's list actually. So
number 1.
I gotta see it. I've missed it.
No interest. Rich, let's round out your top 10.
My number 6 was Ready Player. My number 7 is Mary Poppins. My number 8 is Ant-Man. Number 9 is Blockers. And number 10 is Creed 2.
Number 9 is Blockers?
Yes. It was very entertaining, very funny. I thought John Cena was excellent in it.
He was.
And it was great.
I thought there was a lot of...
What an idiot.
Well, I mean, this show is called Movies for Dumb Guys, so I had to throw at least one dumb guy movie in there.
Mary Poppins, I liked. My only gripe about Mary Poppins was the songs. I thought the songs were forgettable. I thought the songs in Star is Born were more memorable than the songs in Mary Poppins. And that's what makes the original Mary Poppins so great, is those songs are just earworms. You just can't get them out of your head. So I thought the music was lacking, but other than that, I liked Emily Blunt's take on Mary Poppins.
Oh, yeah, loved it. It was great.
All right, now let's go around the table with our worst of the year. Of the 20 or so movies that I saw, these are the ones that I went in and ranged from not liking to flat out hating. Hated Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, thought it was a piece of garbage, 48% on Rotten Tomatoes. Did not like Solo, a Star Wars story. I don't think you need to put every line of dialogue uttered by Han Solo in the Star Wars movies into a movie. I wanted to walk out of that movie many times. The Meg was as stupid as it looked in the trailers. I like Jason Statham, but it was just a dumb, stupid movie. And hated Ocean's 8. Did not like Ocean's 8. Every twist and turn was predictable. I saw everything coming. There was no chemistry. I just did not like this movie. Ryan, your least favorite of 2018?
So I would say acting-wise, the worst movie out was probably 50 Shades Freed.
Did you see that?
I saw all of the 50 Shades movies in the theater.
Why?
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
No kidding.
Because
why, Ryan?
I was forced to. That's why.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Not a tumor. So anyways, I just thought the acting was awful in it. And if it wasn't for the gratuitous nudity, I would have not gone at all to any of them. But that Jamie Dornan's pretty sexy. That's all I got to say.
He looks pretty good in person.
He sure does.
Ow! My back.
Nice new shoes he was wearing. Looked pretty awesome.
Ow, my back.
So yeah, I thought that one was terrible. I want to go back to Bird Box because it was so bad. Like the internet is blowing up. Netflix had to come out today and say, please don't do the Bird Box challenge. You guys are idiots.
Walking around with blindfolds.
Yeah,
on.
like, and the memes are hilarious, but overall the movie was just so dumb. Named a kid boy and girl. That was stupid. And the ending was dumb, and it ended abruptly, and that didn't close anything, and it was just a waste of my time. And I was angry that the internet made me watch this. So screw you, internet. Yeah. And Debbie and I are fighting right now because she thought it was awesome. I don't know what she's seeing, but she needs to go.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
We need to go back and revisit her mental state. Brandy's on my side. Thank you, Brandy. It was horrible.
Does she have an opioid problem too?
I think it's worse than an opioid problem.
Tim, your worst movies of 2018?
Action Point is my number one worst movie.
I don't even know what that is.
It was actually
sounds like an 80s movie.
Well, it was.
Action Point.
It was
Patrick
based,
Swayze.
It was actually based on a real water park called Action Something or Something Point. Anyway, Johnny Knoxville movie. He did some stunts. It's very sad. It's very sad at this point to see him do some stunts. But the movie's horrible. Pacific Rim Uprising was a huge disappointment for me. Overlord was a huge disappointment for me, and I don't know why it's getting the love that it's getting. It's just less than average movie.
That's
the acting
is
is
that
not
the
good.
zombie movie?
It's a Nazi zombie movie. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Actually, if you've seen Shockwaves, you've seen the best one. And then Rampage was a big disappointment for me as well. I should have known because I normally don't see movies with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it, but I took the chance because it did have kaiju in it. But it ended up.
That's number 38 movies I've seen now.
That's that's about the time. Like I love The Rock, but when Rampage came out, I'm like, okay, I think I need a Rock break. It's he's
good time.
making some poor choices.
Good time for you to take a Rock break.
Did you suffer rock fatigue, Joe?
I am Rock fatigue. That's my wrestling name, Rock fatigue. Rich, your least favorite movie?
My least favorite movies, by the way, Ryan. Totally fighting with Debbie.
I know.
My least favorite movies: MI6, Instant Family. Actually, walked out of Instant Family.
I liked Instant Family.
Game Night. I Feel Pretty, Solo, and Bumblebee.
I don't think I put that on my list.
Bumblebee.
That's 32 for me. And Commuter. I want to throw Commuter out there. I thought that was garbage too.
Wait. Liam Neeson.
I know.
How
it
can
was
you not
garbage.
like Liam Neeson movie?
Because it was garbage.
Wait. I'm glad you threw it out there because that's now 39 movies I've seen.
My favorite, I want to say my favorite movie that I did not see at the theater, though, is The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Check it out on Netflix.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, did you see the, what was that hotel movie?
Liam Neeson was good in that.
Yeah, he was.
You know that hotel
Liam
movie
Neeson was
that
good.
came out? You know what I'm talking about? I saw it. It just came
what
out on
now?
DVD. That hotel.
Oh,
one,
I saw Bad Times at El Royale.
Is that
Bad Times at El Royale. I liked it.
That was probably in my top 15.
I wanted to see it.
All right. I've been curious about that one. I just never got around
I thought it was
to seeing
interesting because the different stories, and it was good acting by Ham and
Yeah,
just everybody really. Helmsworth was really
Yeah,
believable in his role.
Yeah, I think the acting across the board, and I think everybody was supposed to kind of represent somebody like from back in the '60s in the movie. Yeah, it's worth checking out. I mean, it's definitely influenced by Tarantino, not as good as Tarantino, but it's
one
all
one honorable mention I wanted to throw out is The Last Movie Star, independent film, Burt Reynolds' last movie. It has some flaws, but Burt Reynolds was brilliant in it. I'm hoping he's going to get a posthumous Oscar nomination. We'll see. But if you haven't checked out The Last Movie Star, check it out. I went to the movie premiere back in March, and it was one of the highlights of my entire life. Got to meet Burt Reynolds himself, and I really
Got my
enjoyed
face, Burt.
I really enjoyed this movie, and so if you get a chance to check out Last Movie Star, please do. All right, I think that's going to wrap up our best of 2018, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and we will see you again.
It was a good year for
on
movies.
Yeah, it was. One of the highest, or the highest grossing year for movies ever.
Really?
Shattered records. Yeah.
Wow.
It. All right.
Because of Star is Born.
Yeah, right.
I think it really was Red Sparrow, or
because of
maybe,
AXL.